Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Spooky Month. If this is your first time with both, pull up a chair, wear some headphones, get you some apple cider or whatever. For our next entry into Spooky Month, besides the Jester video, which I recommend you go see, and the announcement video, which I recommend you go see, link up there, I'm going to be discussing the recent found footage horror film, not only starring YouTubers, but directed by YouTubers, House on Eden. Now, when I say recent, I mean fairly recent. This was released in July into theaters and came to streaming, I believe, at the end of September or the beginning of October. This not only stars Chris Collins, CelinaSpookyBoo, and Jason Christopher Mayer, who are all YouTubers, but is also written, directed, and edited by YouTubers, that being written, directed by Chris Collins and edited by Jason Christopher Mayer. Now, I'm going to put a little spoiler warning and stuff because I'm going to talk about the plot and what happens to these characters because, I feel like that's the proper way to do the review. I do recommend you all go check them out. I will say all their YouTubes are going to be linked down below, and I will say go check out the movie, which is on Shudder right now, which just has a free trial and stuff if you don't already have it, or you can get it from Prime and stuff. I say this because it's not the best movie I've seen, but it's also, I feel like, an important film because it is made by YouTubers, and I feel like if we get these gate open more, this allows more studios to sort of accept that idea of YouTubers making their own interesting content. Because when it's good, it is really fucking good. Which, if you want to hear me talk about some pretty bang up horror films, you can hear me talk about Bring Her Back and Talk to Me. I really need to do a YouTuber horror film playlist on the channel. That'll be coming soon. But yes, I wanted to do that cap right at the beginning of the video, just in case if I spoil the film for you guys. I'm not going to go in depth on the story. I'm going to talk about some details, definitely, that give away the story. But yeah, this isn't going to be like The Jester, where I was doing a constant play-by-play while also showing you clips from the film. This is going to be a lot less clips because this film was relatively recent, and I don't want to worry about copyright, so there's probably just going to be the setup where it's Mortal Kombat in the background. Mortal Kombat 1 this time. I remember Mortal Kombat X was in the background. But yeah, it's Mortal Kombat 1 now. We'll do Ghostface. It'll be Halloweeny and spooky. I'll be there. And the poster will be on the side. Anyway, let's just get into it. As I mentioned before, House on Eden was written, directed, and stars Chris Collins, Selena Myers, and Jason Christopher Mayer. Now, a little bit of context getting into this. Chris and Selena both have, their own individual channels and stuff, but they also collaborate a lot on a series of videos known as Spooky AF Productions, where they go about and, investigate the paranormal and stuff. Now, I will say this specific genre bores me to tears and stuff. It doesn't matter who is doing it. Like The Boys, I've talked about The Boys a lot on this channel. I love them. I can't stand those videos because I feel like they're fucking boring. Sam McColby and all that stuff. That is not me dissing them. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm a weird guy. I have weird taste and shit. But I mention this specifically because this film has them playing themselves and basically filming an episode of this series, which I think is incredibly interesting of them making that bold move. Because I feel like as a newcomer into this film, I didn't really check out their series until afterwards. I'm still relatively new to their series. I didn't feel totally lost watching the movie. I didn't feel like I had to do homework before seeing a goddamn movie, which I hate it when people are just like, oh, read the book, it explains a lot of stuff. If you're translating to another media, I don't feel like I need to read that media. Doesn't make any sense. No, I'm not going to read the comic to get a better understanding of the character if someone is making an adaptation of said character into a movie, which, trust me, I know sounds like I'm being a crybaby and stuff. Shut up. But like I said, this film is just them making a video, and it's sort of us seeing the raw footage. I will say at some points they do this weird grainy camera edit and stuff. Like they have an older camera, which I'm fine with and stuff. That makes sense. But then they do these weird grainy edits and stuff where there's no audio, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Like it's kind of breaking the illusion, if you will. But that's a complaint for a lot of found footage films. I get it. To get into the bare minimum plot, Chris, Selena, and Jason, who they call Jay, so I'm just going to call him Jay, set out on another paranormal investigation, specifically to a unnamed cemetery. But they find out about a few miles into their trip that they're going to a place that is referred to the House on Eden Street. I will say I kind of liked it if it would just be the House on Eden Street than just the House on Eden, but that's just me. I like long titles sometimes. I don't know. They actually pull off to the side of the road, have a discussion about this, and we get this insinuation about what their character traits are. Selena is kind of like the unreluctant co-host with a lot of this stuff. She is neglected with a lot of this shit. Chris is sort of the bullheaded, it's my way or the highway, I'm the face of this channel kind of thing. And Jay being the reluctant cameraman who's forced to come along and also is constantly ridiculed. Now, this is a thing I like. I will say the kind of dynamics are a bit basic and stuff, if you will, but they don't just make themselves into these golden boys, perfection and all that stuff, which I hated that about a lot of films and stuff, like Smiley and fucking Crimson and shit. If you're getting a big YouTuber and stuff and you're just like, this is my movie and stuff, stuff. If you're just like, I'm the perfect person in the world, I'm going to punch you in the throat. And they do a lot of these interesting bits where they're obviously playing their characters for the camera for the YouTube series, and then we immediately change back to them as, you know, themselves. And I like that. It's an interesting way to make a film about YouTubers being YouTubers. You gotta show that raw grittiness. You gotta show the fucking, you know, that character break and shit. I like. Another specific point that adds to this is the tedious kind of hide and go seek section that they added in the movie, which it kind of forgives itself because there are some decent scares. There's some decent lines and stuff. Celina, I gotta be honest, she's funny in this film. I like it. Everyone has their moments and stuff, but Celina's personally my favorite throughout the film. But they have this hide and seek section, and Chris specifically mentions that it's just like, oh, we need some filler for the video. Oh, we need like a cheery, funny bit for the video. Let's do hide and seek. Like, she's not doing it because she wants to. She's doing it just to fill up the time for the videos and add some points where you can just tack it on, you know, inflate the video and stuff, which I like that part. I like that. We get some decent scares in this hide and go seek, and then, you know, they move on from this. They mention like, oh, someone's over there. You know, it's a standard found footage kind of shit where it's just like, oh, we got to put you on edge. I don't really like any of those. The only one I can say that specifically makes those scenes interesting is definitely Creep, which I love Creep. That is like my favorite found footage film of all time. I would talk about Creep one of these days. But yeah, it's kind of expected that there's gonna be, you know, like dumbass moments to sort of humanize the character and make you wish like, oh, I hope they don't die at the end of the film. I mean, hell, even fucking Paranormal Activity did that. How many times did they make those movies? Like, there's 8 of them, right? There's 8 of them. We can let House on Eden do it once. It's fine. They eventually get to the house. They witness some paranormal shit. Specifically, Chris brings up how she keeps vomiting, which will play into the thing later. They say, oh, there's too scary shit. Let's go sleep in the van. They sleep in the van, except they wake up in the house. Jay has pissed himself. Chris just woke up on the floor, and Celina is saying weird shit in Latin, and there's a name above the door called Lilith. Jay gets punched in the fucking face because he wakes up a sleeping person or whatever, and they all sit down and talk about this, and Chris is fucking pumped. Celina is the voice of reason, like I said. Celina and Jay kind of act as the voice of reason, but specifically Celina mentions like, yo, in 12 hours, you passed the fuck out. We've passed the fuck out. Let's get the fuck out of here. We have 12 hours worth of footage. Let's just go. To which then they translate into later in the night and stuff, and they start doing their paranormal shit. Once again, we get a lot of like character breaks with Chris, Celina, and Jay, where they start doing the video up like normal, and then at certain points they're just like, no, this isn't how it works and stuff. They break in, they do like a retake and stuff. Like specifically, Chris says they have to redo a take because Celina mentioned that she was the one who found the house, or that we were the ones who found the house, when Chris is just like, no, I want to say it, that I did it and stuff because I found it. Which, like I said, it adds to it. It adds to the character. It adds to the overall film. It adds to sort of the tension. Fast forwarding a bit, they do a lot of paranormal shit. At some point, Celina and Jay are left alone as Celina is apparently acting as a conduit, I guess you could sort of say, for the spirit. I don't know that's specifically what's going on. To which then she starts speaking Latin. Banging starts going on shit, and people get fucking pissed their pants terrified. Jay says that they have to leave and stuff. He's turning off the camera as he goes out, and Chris just gets fucking miffed at the dude. It's insane. After Jay leaves to go take a smoke, apparently, they both go off and do their own thing. One person in one of the house, one person in one of the rooms, and one person in the other room. Specifically, Chris is in the room where there's been the most paranormal activity happening and stuff, and Celina is downstairs in the living room working on the magic box and shit. Both of them have scenes of paranormal activity shit happening and stuff. Specifically, Chris is dealing with these, like, they call them cat lights. She's haunted by those, and then we see in the mirror, like, a hand grabbing out at her, which is plain terrifying. Nothing really comes of it, though. Eventually, they start hearing her screaming outside that they believe to be Jay screaming. They go out, can't find anything. And then they have this sort of break, kind of hashing out moment stuff where it's revealed that Chris is pregnant. Now, there's a part of the story I did not reveal to this point because I was kind of saving it for this point because it's easier to explain. The name written above the door frame earlier when they were dealing with the seeming possession that Celina had was Lilith. To which later on, when Celina was once in acting as a conduit for the demon or ghost or whatever, they say the name Lilith. Now, this is all back to the Bible, weirdly enough. They do like a biblical kind of thing, which I don't totally love that when paranormal shit just immediately goes to the Bible because it's like scary and shit apparently. Like, I have seen all the Conjuring movies. They mostly just piss me the fuck off. But essentially the lowdown is Lilith was the wife of Adam before all this happened. Some shit happened in the garden to which she was kicked out. out, and then they say like if she ever I think it's like if she ever tries to return to the garden and stuff, all of her children are going to be cursed to die in the womb. And they mention specifically that the ghost targets, or like the demon targets, men by giving them like erotic fantasies in their brain and embarrassing them, and women who can give birth. So now that we have that laid out, it makes a bit more sense what happens next. Celina hears Jay screaming, and then she runs off into the woods and stuff. And then Chris wakes up from a nap after she lay down after like puking and shit, and finds Celina upstairs just mangling up her wrist so fucking bad. It is disgusting as shit. It's like really good effects, and I'm glad that they sort of saved it for the end and stuff, because you're just like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting this shit. Once again, it seems that Celina is acting as a conduit for the demon, which is my sort of theory and stuff, that after that first night she got possessed, working as a host for the demon or whatever, to which then she's thrown into a bathtub and like I guess like knocks her head and shit, knocks her noggin. So then she wakes up, and I think it's supposed to be a bathtub full of blood, to which then I can't remember the specific part. I think she just leaves the house and then is put over like sort of a possession kind of thing, to where it's revealed that Jay and Celina are dead. She gets like naked and oiled up, and you find out that it's a convent of witches, it appears, or possibly cult members, a cult of Lilith, to which then she is like in a hypnotic state and then throws herself onto a bonfire. Now, I do wish that there would have been a more lead through with this kind of thing and stuff. I feel like there wasn't enough. I felt like that ending, you know, there wasn't build up in my opinion, or at least from like a physicality sense, there wasn't really like a build up. Like, yeah, there's more spookies happening, I guess, and stuff, but really the tension, in my opinion, the tension wasn't built up in a way where I found the ending satisfying. I found it cool. I was like, oh shit, they really went there. And they have some moments where I was like, yep, this definitely earned an R rating, but I just don't think it really added up in my personal opinion. Would I recommend this film? Definitely, and stuff. I feel like they did a good job, and it's interesting, like I said, that they were like, yo, we're gonna connect this back to our YouTube series, because then it's just like, well, I mean, I'm kind of interested in this shit, I'll go check it out. Or you're just like, yo, I'm a big fan of her and stuff, you know, I can't wait for her next film, I can't wait for her debut. It's just like, oh shit, it's like I've been following along this whole time. Like I said, it's really interesting with that. I really like that. Is this the best YouTuber horror film? No, I'm just gonna put this out there and stuff. No, this is not the best one. Like I said, these two are superior to every other fucking horror film ever. Is this the worst one? Also, fuck no, there's been some shitty ones. Smiley, fucking Crimson. Oh, I've never even talked about hashtag all my friends are dead. If y'all want to hear me talk about that, I don't really plan on talking about it this month, but holy shit, that one's bad. Is this the worst YouTuber film to come out this year? I don't know. I think there's only 2 coming out, and the second one isn't even coming out till the end of October, and I'm probably not going to be able to see it. I feel like it's an okay found footage horror film, even if you don't know the YouTuber shit. And I think personally it's one of the better YouTuber movies, because it's definitely like a I respect my fans kind of thing. Like, she made it for the fans, and you know, I can have respect for that. Why the fuck not? You got a streaming deal with Shudder. At least you're gonna make some fucking bag off of that. And once again, the film, it only cost $10K, which is extremely low, even for found footage. And they've definitely made back their bag. I'm pretty sure they've made like $500,000 at this point. I don't know if that's completely true and stuff. I did check like Box Office Mojo, so I don't know if that's like reliable. But yeah, go check it out. You know, it's a decent enough film. It's not gonna be the best horror film you watch this year, but it's definitely not gonna be the worst, especially from the amount of horror films I've seen this year. There's been some bad ones. But yeah, y'all have a good day, a good night, a good midday, a good midnight. I'll be seeing you on the next one. Make sure not to die. Bye-bye.